concern that we've been dealing with. I want to thank the Health Commissioner, Chen, and the Public Safety Commissioner, Keith Flynn, for their rapid response. But as you probably know, drugs that are produced from substances that are sold over the counter at stores, commonly known as bath salts in this particular case, are a continuing challenge for all the states. And while it's not at epidemic proportions in Vermont, we're waiting for that, we're taking preemptive action today to ensure that bath salts are joined in a list of drugs that are banned for use in the state of Vermont. In talking to some of our New England neighbors, we have learned that Bangor, Maine, as an example, is really dealing with an epidemic from this form of drug. These drugs are extremely dangerous. They give one who either snorts them, smokes them, or shoots them into their veins a temporary high that lasts for anywhere from 15 minutes to 3 hours, and the results are devastating. Obviously, all kinds of health results, but the one of most concern is that it tends to induce suicidal urges and tendencies that can rapidly lead to loss of life. The department is seeking a permanent ban, and that's going to require a lengthier process, but today we're implementing an emergency temporary rule that will ban bath salts in Vermont. Bath salts are a new designer drug, for, as I mentioned, made from legal substances found in drugstores across the country. Bath salts can be labeled not for human consumption to try to skirt law enforcement regulations and laws. Bottom line is, in Vermont, we need to be proactive, and we are doing so here today. My job as governor, our job in law enforcement is to keep Vermonters safe. And these combination of chemicals that are ingested by humans are extremely dangerous, and we want to make sure that they are not used in the state of Vermont. So it's not a huge problem yet. We're being proactive. I want to turn it over to both Commissioners of Health and Public Safety just to say a few words, and I thank them for their rapid response. So we'll start with who wants to back first? Harry? You're up.
So I would echo what the governor said insofar as that these are substances that have no useful purpose. These are substances that are dangerous to those who ingest them. They are not regulated because they're not sold as either drugs or as nutritional supplements. So therefore, they're just found on the shelf. Given the fact that they are so dangerous, and there are reports elsewhere of people ingesting them and having very bad health effects, including death and suicides, it certainly made sense for Vermont to take this action. Back in May, Commissioner Flynn and some of his folks got together with mine, and we made the decision to present this for regulation. And we presented it to both the Medical Practice Board, the Board of Health, and the Board of Pharmacy, who all agree that this is a substance that should be regulated under the regulations of the state. So the rule has been submitted and is going through the normal process. But given the fact of the recent publicity, I certainly felt it was incumbent on us to take immediate action to prevent their use until the time that the official rule becomes in force.
Thank you. Commissioner Flynn.
A couple other things that this will do. It will classify this as a Schedule I drug. That being said, as a stimulant, we already have existing statutory authority to enforce provisions in Title 18 in regard to stimulant drugs. Now, this type of stimulant has some of the following characteristics. It will cause a rapid increase in blood pressure, in heart rate. Category of drugs that it's similar to would be, for instance, crack cocaine, cocaine, other stimulants that create rapid responses within the system. As both the governor said and Commissioner Chen, we don't have a prevalent problem with it right now, but it's really in the best interest of Vermonters to get out in front of this and stop it from coming into our borders now. The number of communities that have had it come into their areas, there have been some devastating effects. When you have some of these designer drugs or synthetic drugs come into your area, what can happen, you can see increase in crime rates, increase in motor vehicle accidents and fatalities and injuries. So these are all things that reach across the spectrum and all support the reason why we want to get out in front of this and why we want to stop it from coming into our borders.
Anything you want to add? Great, thank you.
Going back to the bath salts really quickly, can anyone speak to where in Vermont we might have seen that already, seen the use of the bath salts, and then if anyone has been hospitalized or even committed suicide as a result?
You know, I think you'll find that our experience isn't that specific. We're really taking a preemptive action by instituting this rule that will ban these drugs from Vermont and include them in the other drugs that are outlawed in the state. We don't have evidence of it being sold in Vermont, but we know that it's happening in states around us, and we want to be proactive to protect Vermont, and protect our kids, and protect our communities.
So you're saying I can't go into a store here and buy this?
We're not sure, but we don't know where to send you if that's where your goal was. But if you do, you're going to be arrested.
As of today, I
So
know.
where's the emergency here?
Emergency is that in terms of the drugs.
Well, you're instituting an emergency rule, which
Well,
would suggest that
right.
there's an emergency that needs to be addressed.
Well-
And there's no sign of these things anywhere inside state borders, from what I can gather.
One of the challenges we have is that when you arrest someone who is under the influence of drugs, you don't necessarily know what drug is involved. So we're not saying it doesn't exist. We're just saying we're not sure. What we do know is that in the states around us, quite possibly in Vermont, these synthetic drugs are being sold and consumed. And it's become a real challenge for some of our neighbors. I mentioned Bangor, Maine, and I'm sure other communities. And we're simply saying this. It's now added to the list of drugs that are outlawed in this state.
What exactly is banned? Like, is there a package that says bath salts on it that you can no longer buy?
The combination of substances that are sold as quote-unquote bath salts, it gets that term from the simple fact that that's what they look like, are banned in the state and join the other drugs being outlawed.
What would it say on it? So that I
Well,
know
turn it
not
over to
to
law
buy
enforcement people because I haven't been shopping.
It actually goes under another name or under a lot of different brand names. And I think I have a few of them here that they've been used at different places. Just look at this. Anything from Ivory Snow to Red Dove to Bolivian Bath to White Girl, Ivory Wave, Tranquility, Blue Silk, Special Gold. This is not our parents' bath salt. So, and that's the point that we're trying to actually avoid in response to that question is one of the things that demonstrates what the emergency could be for Vermont is when you look at the number of calls that have come into the Poison Control Center, like just over the last 3 years, it's gone from double digits to triple digits. And as of July, it was up over 3,500 relating to these type of symptoms there and inquiries into bath salts. And when it's in the area near us, it's in Maine, it's in other New England states, it's important to be proactive because with the substance abuse issue that where a new designer drug comes in, with it come the problems. We've seen the problems that have come. It's not a new designer drug, but for instance, with meth, you've seen what other states have had problems, increase in crime, increase in other activities. Heroin brings in a huge increase in number of burglaries, armed robberies. So it's important to get out in front of this, and this is a proactive stance to that, and this will get us out in front of that.
Are there legitimate bath salts that our parents can still buy? Is there something called bath salts that should not be?
I'll check with my mom and get back to you.
No, I'm just saying, like, will it be clear to people?
Yes.
Yes.
And what's,
You would have to go to a head shop for this particular bath salts. If
Okay.
you go to Bed Bath & Beyond, go ahead. Buy that.
what's the sanction that'll be imposed on?
It joins the other drugs that, criminal statutes for the other drugs that are outlawed in Vermont.
For what other, I mean, there's varying,
This is a class.
It depends on the weight and the quantity.
sure, but what would the, attached to which drug schedule? Cocaine, heroin, I mean, there's different.
There's actually, if you look in Title 18, there's actually a generic statute that talks about the possession of stimulants
All right.
that are regulated, and it depends on the quantity. It can be either misdemeanor or felony.
Like other drugs.
That's Schedule 1.
And this bath salts thing, who is the emergency room from? Get that from Elkhart, or who is providing the emergency room?
We provide the right.
Received a temporary
I'll let
emergency
you take them.
So the rule is, the emergency rule is signed by Secretary Racine of AHS, based on my recommendation, and then filed with the Secretary of State, while the standard rule goes through the normal process.
Do you notify the head shops of Vermont about this change?
I don't notify them. I certainly defer to Commissioner Flynn about whether that's.
No. There are so many.
We're just
Don't get him going, because he's going to say he needs more people, his budget's strapped. I hear it from every one of my commissioners and secretaries. We wish we had the resources, we don't.
It was the medical board that you talked to about this? It was a pharmacy board, can you just go over
The
the?
Board of Pharmacy, Board of Medical Practice, and the Board of Health all agree that these are dangerous substances that should be regulated by E-band. So based on that, we submitted a rule to include them in the regulated substance list. And from my perspective, if they're dangerous, in 120 days, they should be dangerous today and should be banned. The last thing I would like is all this publicity to encourage people to go out and try them.
I'll just say something about this with the health commissioner here. I know we've had some humorous moments here with the title bath salts, the names that we give to these things. Listen, it defies common sense that anyone would ingest, whether it's smoking, snorting, or shooting, chemicals that are manufactured to clean your house, to disinfect, or to do any of the other things that these substances are designed to do. So, we've kind of entered a new realm here in drug abuse, which is taking substances. Someone said this isn't your grandmother's bath salts. I'll be honest with you, it's also not your grandfather's homegrown. These are extraordinarily dangerous substances that should never be ingested by human beings. They're hazardous materials. And I think it's really important we send a clear message to our kids. Listen, there's a reason that these have big labels on them saying do not ingest.
Governor, similar bans have been made on synthetic cannabinoids, and manufacturers have been able to avoid such bans by simply changing the strand of the chemical, repackaging, putting not for human consumption, and selling it. So what are the plans to try and prevent that from happening with the bath salts?
We're just going to be diligent, staying on it as best we can. that prey on our kids, prey on our addicts, don't care about their health or safety. Government